Well, this is exciting, isn't it? Lobo is going to be the villain in season 2 of Krypton. But who the hell is Lobo? I've seen pictures of him. He looks awesome. Should we have a read? Right, so Lobo was first introduced as a hardened villain in the 1980s, but soon fell out of the use with the writers. He remained in limbo until his revival as an anti-hero biker with his own comic in the early 1990s. Writers attempted to use Lobo as a parody of the 1990s trend towards grim and gritty superhero stories, epitomised by such Marvel Comics characters as Cable, Wolverine and the Punisher. But he was instead enthusiastically accepted by fans of the trend. This popularity led to the characters having a much higher profile in DC Comics. Stories from then on, as well as starring roles in various series in the decades since. The character enjoyed a short run as one of DC's most popular characters throughout the 90s. The version of Lobo was intended to be a satire of the Marvel Comics superhero Wolverine. In issue 41's Deadpool, a separate Marvel series, Lobo was parodied as Dirty Wolf, a large blue-skinned man who drove a demonic motorcycle. He was also parodied in the Image comic series Blood Wolf as Bolo in the top comic series Saturn 6. In 2006, Keith Given said, "I have no idea why Lobo took off. I came up with him as an indictment of the Punisher Wolverine hero prototype, and somehow he caught on as the hype-violent poster boy. Go figure." He later stated both Lobo and Ambush Bug were derived from Lunatic, a character he created in high school. Lobo was introduced as a regular character in Keith Giffen and Roger Silver's Green Lantern and Teen Titans spin-off, Omega Men. At the time, he was a Velopian whose entire race had been exterminated by Psions and was partnered with Bedlam, who he later killed. His origin was later retconned. It's quite an interesting origin, actually. After a well-received appearance in Justice League International, Lobo became a regular character in Legion and its successor series Rebels. In 1990, he appeared in his own 4-issue miniseries, Lobo. The Last Caesarion, plotted by Giffen, written by Alan Grant, and with art by Simon Bisley, which changed his origin story. He became the last Cenarion after violently killing every other member of the species. Now that is a great origin. That miniseries led to many subsequent miniseries and specials, including RoboCop, a RoboCop parody, Blazing Chain of Love, in which he is sent on a job to Harlem paramilitary Christmas special, in which he is contracted by the Easter Bunny to assassinate Santa Claus. Wow, there's just loads of information here. He's kind of really interesting. I thought he would be quite interesting, and I'm quite surprised that Krypton are going for him. I don't really know which version they're going to go for. I'm assuming the one where he kills his own people. It just makes him dark and dramatic. So we left Krypton literally with Zod running things. You know, Brainiac had been defeated. Zod had manipulated everyone into pretty much giving him control. So he is now the Zod that we know and love, or maybe hate. So that's going to be really, really interesting, because I feel what we could have here is something really exciting, because Seg is in the Phantom Zone. So maybe Zod's actions bring this character into the forefront. So it really is interesting. And as I say, I am surprised they're doing this character, but brilliant, because I've always been interested in Lobo. I've never really known much about him, and I suppose they're looking for villains that the cinematic universe won't be using. So I love this first season of Krypton. Right, we have to go on to Supergirl. This is massive news. Manchester Black has been cast in Supergirl. So I loved Manchester Black. I love Superman and the Elite. It's a great story. I've read the comic and I've also seen the animated feature film, which is awesome. But I don't trust the people at Supergirl. They're going to ruin this character with their identity politics. You won't be surprised that they've changed the kind of culture of this man, and he's going to be black. Again, if you want to do that, fine, even though they're doing it every single time. I keep on saying, why not create new original characters and be diverse with them? Why do you have to change what kind of existing characters are and what backgrounds they have? But there you go, that's the way it is. But that's nothing to do with my doubts over Manchester Black being in Supergirl. If I had no experience of this show and hadn't been let down by Supergirl from the pilot, I would be really excited about this. But for me, they're going to ruin Manchester Black because they're going to change his origins. You know what they're like. They're going to try and suit themselves. And as I say, a lot of people are going to be excited by this, but not me. So definitely excited with Lobo being on Krypton, especially now that I've looked into him. But certainly Manchester Black in Supergirl worries me. It worries me a great deal. And I want to quickly say about Batwoman on Arrow, that also worries me. The whole of Arrowverse, anything awesome that's introduced worries me. No, so Batwoman's going to have her own show basically because nobody wants to make a film about her. So that's why they're doing her. She is going to be based in Gotham. I had my doubts about that, but apparently now I don't know when this series is going to launch. I don't know. They haven't even announced the casting for her yet, have they? Unless I'm wrong. And so it's going to be interesting who they cast. Probably someone from the Vampire Diaries. But so it really is kind of interesting to me. Now, let's talk about the DCEU's Comic-Con. How did it go? Listen, I loved the Wonder Woman sequence. I loved the Shazam trailer. And as you know, I loved the Aquaman trailer. And as I feared, that's all we were always going to get. And that's all we got. We had no announcement about a Superman film. We had no announcements about the Batman. And they're keeping very tight-lipped about the Batman for as long as possible because they know the changes they're going to announce are going to piss a lot of people off. And they're going to create a lot of negative but also positive publicity. And they want to choose their moments properly. So what I feel about this is that they're just going to wait till they probably start shooting, and they have to announce it because we're going to see who's playing Batman. So very interesting. Now I did a video last week putting doubts over Henry Cavill coming back as Superman. Now if you look closely at the Shazam trailer, we see that article about Zod invading Earth, but we don't see Henry's face. We see the back of Superman, Superman's side. So Superman could actually be played by anyone. So this is interesting now. I mean, Henry's doing a lot of talking about what he wants to do with Superman. But as far as I'm concerned, as many doubts as there are with Ben Affleck's future in this franchise, those doubts are equally as there with Henry Cavill's future. The stuff I'm hearing, I'm not hearing anything that tells me that these people have got confidence going forward in Henry. I know some of them believe the Justice League movie just damaged Cavill as Superman. They weren't really worried. I mean, he played a great performance in Batman v Superman and Man of Steel, whether you like those films or not. But because of what they did with the upper lip and because it became an on-standing joke, and it's not Henry's fault, I think he's a great Superman. But maybe they'll cast someone new. I don't know what they'll do. We know there's a DC Dark. We know there's a DC Light. We know the whole creative team has changed. So, very interesting. I would have liked Walter Hamada to come out and say, look, we're doing this, inspired of fans like Kevin Feige does. But they're not ready to do that. I don't know if all the decisions haven't been made yet. Certain contracts haven't been signed. Maybe that's the reason. But in terms of Aquaman and Shazam and Wonder Woman, I think everything's fine. Look, Grace Randolph's negativity about the Wonder Woman scene we saw, calling her a Barbie, you've got to understand Grace Randolph isn't the full ticket. And, you know, she has every right to dislike or like whatever she wants. But sometimes, as a DC fan, she twists a knife too much just to kind of get clicks. And I don't like that. I don't trust her. She loved Batman v Superman. She slaughtered Suicide Squad and called it a mess. And I don't agree with her. I thought that was a totally capable, entertaining film. It wasn't the best CBM ever, but it was certainly entertaining and enjoyable. And it was a great chapter for the DCEU, but not according to her and the critics, and that's fine. They're entitled to their opinions. But now, at the end of the day, we've got to stop slaughtering things over a poster or a quick scene. We've got to wait to see the actual film and more trailers. For example, an IGN reporter was criticising the Aquaman trailer for not having enough fleshed out stuff about Aquaman, Arthur Curry, not seeing enough motivation for him. At the end of the day, that's not what a trailer's there for. A trailer's there to sell the film. That trailer sells that film to a lot of people who wouldn't normally watch a DCEU film. It's funny, it's bright, it's got a touch of romance in it, it's got great spectacle, great action. You know, you can't have everything. You can't win them all. Well, thank you for listening to me rabbit on about DC. I think by now you know how much I love DC. I love the DCEU. I'm pretty pleased with the DCEU panel and what came out. I just wish we had a bit more. I guess we're just going to have to be patient. Have a good Sunday, DC fans.